exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
We have to start the show with happy birthday, Tony Baselli, right?
Yes,
happy birthday.
absolutely.
EVP. Excuse me. I'm so glad that his birthday is a week before the draft, not on the draft. I feel like that would be a very stressful birthday. So enjoy it today, Tony, with the fam there. I have a very important question for y'all, and you're unprepared for this, which is how I like to do things around here. Who do you have more confidence in this season? GM James Gladstone, who's never done this before, or head coach Liam Cohen, who's also never done this before? As a head coach, obviously both have been in organizations that have been successful, but who do you have more confidence in? And you can be confident in both, but who are you more confident in?
I say Liam Cohen.
Okay.
I think that we've seen enough at multiple levels from Liam Cohen to show that he's able to develop quarterbacks and bring the best out of quarterbacks, offensive linemen. We talk about the two examples that we're familiar with Will Levis and Luke Fortner. And so I think that to me, because we've seen it, and I know the big thing was the back and forth, but to me, I never really saw that as a true red flag as soon as we found out it was because he was trying to climb. And we heard him talk about that yesterday when it comes to players. And when your goal is to ultimately be a head coach, that experience is everything. And so to me, being able to see that at multiple levels, and then I know it's only 1 year of play calling, but I think that what you saw on that Bucs offense last year with, yes, a good offensive line and a lot of weapons that helped Baker. But it's hard to ignore the fact that he turned this offense, who, yes, was already growing, but into one of the better offenses in the NFL in almost every category statistically. And even when guys were going down, in times last year, both Godwin and Evans were injured, and they still were able to figure out ways to win games and score a lot of points. And so to me, that is easier to transfer, especially if you really truly believe that Trevor Lawrence can still be the quarterback that a lot of people believed he could be, then that's an easier transfer to me than maybe somebody like James Gladstone, who it's so much more that comes into being a general manager than the role he had previously. And not that it hasn't for Liam Cohen, but Liam Cohen has done a little bit of the play calling and all of that, the developmental side. This is a new world, and not saying that I don't think he can be successful. It's just more so if you're asking who I'm more confident can make that change and the quickest and make it a successful quicker, I do think Liam Cohen.
I can only tell you what I've been told by people around the league, which is they were excited when the Liam Cohen hire was announced and finalized, and they were even more excited and wishing that they had come to Jacksonville, or that they had an opportunity to get out of their current situation and come to Jacksonville, because they would follow James Gladstone anywhere. And I heard that from multiple people. And that is what I will base my assessment off of.
It's just funny to me going back, because nobody really talked about him until the end of January. And then all of a sudden the one video went viral, and that's when things kind of started talking about James Gladstone a little bit.
It was Ian Cunningham.
And there was, and to me, that hesitates me a little bit, because I do think that, not saying I like James Gladstone, and I really do think that he'll be able to be really good at this position. And we've talked about before, the expectations of this year maybe are different than if you're saying what your expectations are for the next 4 or 5 years of what Gladstone can do. But to me, I do feel like there wasn't a whole lot of this guy, because it was maybe not the level of experience. A lot of people like that assistant GM to come up and be the next person, because they do have that a little bit more hands-on experience to the general manager, and maybe a little bit more knowledge of what exactly they have to do. But I do think that when it comes to him, there's a lot of people that once it happened, everyone was like, oh yeah, he's great. But I think that, to me, when you talk about a head coach, and I think Liam Cohen has been closer to head coach than James Gladstone has been a general manager.
I think the reason that his name wasn't in the cycle, Taylor, and our friend Jordan Rodriguez joined Kai Stevens on Jaguars AM earlier this week, and she said she called Les Snead the moment she saw James Gladstone's name circulated as a potential candidate, and said, I can't believe you're going to let him go, because That's why, in my estimation, people weren't talking about him. Because the thought process was, Les Snead is trying to keep this great secret to himself before he unleashes it onto the world. And I don't think people thought that this would be the cycle and that this, specifically in Jacksonville, would be the opening that Les Snead would get on the phone and say, he's ready, call him.
Yeah, we played the clip of John Ogier, who specifically stated, and we know how John has been close to this organization now for a long time, outside of a few years with the Colts. He's been around here since the 90s. And he specifically said, I like Liam Cohen. I think Liam will do a good job. But I am over the moon excited for James Gladstone and the effective communication that he's bringing to the table. And if the building doesn't know the direction the franchise is going in, then the franchise is not going to go in a great direction. And so I think James Gladstone, to your point, Taylor, as far as he wasn't someone that we'd been following his career, I do think that because of how he got to where he is, it's such a strange route. Like most people don't start as like being picked off of the high school coach, the field literally for a high school, and then being brought to LA and then not leaving LA, but staying in that organization until, yes, becoming the general manager for the Jaguars. And so some people's careers we do follow. Like, for instance, when it comes to players, there are certain guys, Trevor Lawrence is among them, Leonard Fournette is one of them. We know who they are when they are so young, and so we kind of follow them throughout. And then there are other people who come to the forefront and we think, wow, I didn't really even know that this player was going to be that good. I feel like Gladstone's in the category of we didn't follow his career, so therefore we didn't have as much time to analyze him.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, when it comes to new general managers, most of the time you're not following the people below even assistant general managers. Most people don't know a ton about. And so I think that in our world, I wasn't surprised that we or fans didn't know who James Gladstone was. But when you go through and you talk to people in general that are a little bit more into the NFL and know the ins and outs of those things, like they knew him, but it wasn't like, oh, this guy has done this, this, and this, until we started seeing clips come out of him talking about it. And so, but I do think that nothing wrong with that. Sometimes those guys, and to Mia's point, that kind of wanting to gatekeep him a little bit and not share him with other people. I think that the general manager position is hard, though. Not saying a head coach isn't, but there's so many things that come into this, and you're taking over an organization that has had a lot of losing, and they've brought in people that they thought were going to work time and time again, and it just doesn't. So I said this back in January. I'm hesitant on both because I need to see on-field product before I'm going to let myself get excited again, because it's just felt like every time I do, something bad happens again. But it's hard to not start getting a little excited when certain things happen, when certain moves, or you hear them talk and you like certain things they're saying. But I do think that, just to me in general, I could watch a product that Liam Cohen created firsthand and go back and watch games last year, and that makes it easier for me to feel like that is more transferable.
Yeah, I can understand that. Talking to people who have spent time around both of them, I think both are well liked. I think both are going to connect to the players. Certainly, Liam has to do that on a day-to-day basis. It's not as much on the general manager to connect to the players and the roles in which they have. But it is going to be fascinating to see, as we've said so many times, how what we believe is the alignment for now, how that actually comes to fruition on the field. All right, let's get it to a comment from Jarian Jones. He sat down with Jamal St. Cyr. The full interview will come out next week. But certainly asked about last year, which position he played versus what he wanted to play.
Last season when I was playing, all 100% nickel, I was asking them, can I go play corner? That's what I play. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I play nickel, but I guard people. That's what I do. I play corner. I guard people. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what all went into it, but just last thing they wouldn't let me do it. So to the coach staff letting me be able to go do that, that's something when I first met with Coach Camp, when I first met with Liam, that's something I asked them, can I please go play corner? And they was like, well, actually, that's what we were thinking. And I was like, okay, well, we all in cahoots together.
I love it.
Me too. And yeah, it's funny. I get it, because when we talk about what he did at Florida State, and that's why it gets me excited about this year, because when you talk about, okay, well, now he kind of has to. That's where he's going to be, is across from Tyson Campbell. And so you like the confidence in that. But also, I think there are there's justifiable moments of he was playing really, really good nickel corner last year. So it's hard to snatch a player away from that position that's playing at a high level and pretty quickly and move him to another one. And I know the coaching staff and Ryan Nielsen did a lot of weird things last year. I loved Jarian at nickel corner last year, and not saying he can't move, and I hope he can, because that's kind of what it's looking like is going to happen now. But they also spent money on a free agent in Ronald Darby and thought that that was going to be the piece. And so when you spend money in free agency on someone, you're kind of hoping that is the player that ends up panning out. Obviously, it did not. But in that sense of, I like the confidence and I like that, he's kind of speaking about it. But at the same time, I think he was in the right spot for himself last year and what the defense was supposed to be going into the season.
I feel like, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like we've got to go back and look through the Florida State tape, which he obviously began his career at Mississippi State and then he transferred to FSU. And maybe the Knowles fans on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, the Knowles fans in Healigan Nation, maybe you guys can help us out, because he certainly did play outside at times at Florida State. But ultimately, I think that those reps, and I don't want to generalize it, that's why I'd love to see more of a breakdown if anybody has it. Most of those reps outside took place before that roster was fully fleshed out to the top 10 on the verge of the playoff team that was in 2023. And once that team was assembled, the best role for Jarian Jones to elevate the entire ecosystem was him playing nickel. And so, like, I just don't want to discount his reps playing outside in 2021 at Florida State, because, look, that team I don't want to say an expansion roster, but I mean, hey, at this point, college sports is basically professional sports, but it was the equivalent of an expansion roster that Mike Norvell took over. And even when he took it over, he had to tear it back down again because of the various sanctions, because of academic ineligibility. And so that's where, I look at the canvas and the portfolio that you have from his time at Florida State, and I feel like people unfairly have said, well, he's a nickel just because in 2023 he predominantly lined up in the slot, and that's when Florida State had its best season.
Well, and just a quick search. So it said most of his college career he was outside corner, 1,263 snaps at that. He transitioned to nickel corner in 2023, where he played 394 snaps inside compared to 27 outside, and that's where he produced all the turnovers, was that year when they moved him on to the inside.
25 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, a sack, 3 interceptions, including a pick six, 3 pass breakups, and a forced fumble.
3 of his 5 interceptions came from the inside.
But here's the other thing, the chicken or the egg theory. Did he have that stat production because he had Jared Verse, Braden Fisk,
creating all of this stuff up front?
And that's the other side of this argument is, was that breakout year, quote unquote breakout year in 2023, due to all the pieces around him?
I mean, I think a good defense, they all play off of each other. I mean, I know Foye Oluokun, when he met with media last week, was saying how he wants the best defensive front in the interior in front of him, so he doesn't have to do as much. Like, he wants those guys to get to the ball. And, I mean, certainly Jarian Jones was on a great defense in 2023, no doubt. But I do think that he's a guy who found his natural spot at nickel. But every nickel wants to play outside, and unless you're Jordan Lewis or now Kyler Gordon, the highest paid nickels, you're like, all right,
I'll
take that. But for the most part, every guy wants to play outside. You know why? When you run a 4.38 40, which is what Jarian did, you know that you can match up with those receivers, and you're physical because you've already been playing nickel.
Great point off the text line from 329. Jarian Jones also got better due to Patrick Surtain, senior, becoming the cornerbacks coach, the defensive backs coach at Florida State in 2023.
All right, so speaking of corners, we're going to talk to EJ Snyder from Bootleg Football next, get his insight all into the cornerback room and some others. That you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL puts the ball in play-by-play.
Kick on the way.
Impeccable today.
From way downtown. That ball's ripped.
For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
Need fresh and flavorful lunch? Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durbin Park, or Butler Point at Chicken Salad Chick.
Mia here, and I've got a question for you. Have you ever wondered why buy from Arlington Toyota? I'll tell you why. How about over 800 vehicles in one location? That, my friends, is unheard of, and that means that Arlington has what you want. Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Tacomas, Tundras, even the all-electric B74X. Have you seen that thing? So good. And it's all waiting for you at Arlington. Or how about this reason why? 60-day exchange. You can buy it, take it home, drive it around for 60 days, and then if you decide it's not quite right, you can bring it on back and exchange it. Now that is total confidence. You even get Arlington's lifetime warranty with your new Toyota purchase. Why buy from Arlington? Because right now you could get financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. 0%. It just doesn't get any lower than 0%. And you can get it today at Arlington Toyota. That's why you should buy from Arlington. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just quarter mile east of 295 or arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, innovative design, and water sports features, the Yamaha AR195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear, deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride Now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Our next guest texted me over the weekend and realized, man, I ran through edge prospects with helmets and heels. I ran through defensive tackles, but I didn't give them a comprehensive list at cornerback. And now with more and more folks suggesting that perhaps the Jaguars could be in the defensive back market in the 2025 NFL Draft, we welcome on EJ Snyder of Bootleg Football. Hello, friend from the Pacific Northwest. How you doing?
Hello, friends, down as far away from me as you can possibly get in the continental United States. How are you all?
We're just fantastic. We're happy to have you here on a wonderful Thursday. Let's dive right into it. The floor is yours, EJ. Walk us through cornerbacks who you believe are at the top of this year's crop, certainly, but realistically speaking, of course, who might actually be a fit for the Jaguars, maybe later on past round one.
Yeah, with as many picks as they have, they've sort of got the floor in this draft, and that's great for them. But if you're not going to pick one at the top, and that would be tough because Jahdae Barron would be the only one I'd even consider up that high, and I still think there's probably better options for Jacksonville at different positions there. At 36, options open up really nicely. You've got a sort of cluster of corners. Trey Amos might be there from Ole Miss. Benjamin Morrison, depending on his medicals, from Notre Dame, is one of the most athletically talented corners in this entire draft. So if they're comfy with that and how he checked out at the combine, that could be an option. And Siobhan Revel from ECU could all be there. Again, health concerns with him, but I'm sure they've got everything in the file on those guys by now. And all of those guys could be great upgrades for the Jacksonville secondary.
Yeah, EJ, that's one of the bigger conversations we've had is that the corner position, because obviously you have Tyson Campbell there. The one thing I guess you would say, knock on Tyson Campbell is kind of the time he's been on the field. There's been a lot of missed time the last couple seasons, and so that factors into a little bit of concern. And then now a lot of the conversation we've had with Jarian Jones, getting Jordan Lewis, moving Jarian Jones. Now what seems to be that outside corner across Tyson Campbell. Jarian feels like he could do it. We just heard some sound on that. But in your thoughts, how high would you put that need as corner with that room right now?
I would put it pretty high because I think all athletes in the NFL are one play away from being on the bench. And when you start to look at what's behind those guys, no matter how you feel about Tyson Campbell and Jarian Jones, if either one of those guys sprains an ankle, it looks pretty dire right away. And that's not a great situation for a team that plays in a league with 17 games in a very, very rough season. So there's a lot of depth here. Again, they've got a lot of picks. They have assembled picks for the first time in a while where they have a lot of top 100 picks. And they have their choice here. They should go after some really high-quality corner talent, and it's there. It lines up in this draft. And so I would definitely add to this room. Again, maybe not at 5 because I just don't think the value lines up all that well. But at 36 or 70 or 88, I think they could even double dip. I think they could, pick one at 36 and they could pick one at 88 as well. Because, again, the value lines up nicely. The need is there. It's not a bad spot for the Jags to be in this year.
EJ, staying on the defense, if the Jaguars don't select Mason Graham and they don't select a defensive tackle at 5, will Derek Harmon from Oregon be there when they come back to pick at 36?
Not necessarily, Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you asked about Derek Harmon, one of my favorite players in this draft. I think the league is probably higher on him than the general consensus. I think a lot of sort of draft media and fans are like, well, he didn't finish a lot. Well, that's true, but he stirred the drink for that Oregon defensive line, which was really talented. And because of that, I think he is one of those prime candidates to be a guy that goes off the board between like 25 and 32 that we see every year. especially this year with a lot less blue chip talents in this draft, that there's not going to be any by the time you get to the end of the first round. So you're just going to be looking for really good football players. And Harmon is an extremely good football player. And I think he probably will go off the board before then. If he does not sprint that card in, it would be a great, great pick.
You can find him on X at Football EJ, the co-creator of Bootleg Football with Brett Colliman, the founder and host of the Bear Era Pod as well. All right, EJ, I gave you the floor when it came to your defensive back pairings for the Jaguars. I will now give you the floor as well to, I don't want to call it a diatribe, but your thoughts on Mason Graham as a blue chip top 5 prospect.
Well, you and I have gone round and round about this. We started talking about this even before the Combine. We talked about it at the Combine. We've talked about it since. And I believe Mason Graham is a really good football player. And that's where I want to start with this, because it seems like when you say that Mason Graham is not something other than that, everybody just jumps on your back and says you're a hater. I do not hate Mason Graham at all. It is tough for me to see him in the top 5 or even in the top 10 as that kind of difference maker, because when you look at his game, I see him a lot like a guy that came out of your neck of the woods in Braden Fisk, in that he is extremely aggressive. He is a penetrator. He is relentless. He gets a lot of his sacks later in the down. And if you're going to take a guy in the top 10, you want to see a guy win early, especially a defensive tackle, early in the down. And he doesn't do that a lot. And again, the level of competition is going to go up as he gets to the NFL. Again, I think Mason Graham's going to play in the NFL for a long time. I think he's a very high floor player. I think from a sort of tenor and tone, he's a guy you want in your room. All of those things are great. But in terms of pure star power talent to really turn a game from the interior defensive line, I don't think Mason Graham is as effective there as other players in this draft. So I wouldn't sleep super well picking him at 5. I would know that I was getting a lot of talent, great contribution, ready to go right away. But over the life of his career, you and I talked about it yesterday, and I thought you summed it up really well, Mia. Like, this is a guy that might make 3-4 Pro Bowls, playing for 9 or 10 years. That's a really good NFL career. It's tough in the top 10. And again, that's just this draft. That's just this year. So if they love him, they're comfortable with him, awesome. Go ahead and pick him. If I'm a GM, I'm going to let somebody else go after him. I'm going to take a chance on somebody, even like Derek Harmon, that I believe can stir the drink from the interior defensive line a little more effectively and more often than a guy like Mason Graham.
I love the Mason Graham conversation because there's just so much back and forth with it. But EJ, I want to ask you, because obviously being close to also the Bears organization and what's going on there, and that the Packers and what they've been able to do. What do you think, what would your expectations be for this defense and how Anthony Campanile will kind of build it and how the scheme may look? Because we're talking about, he spent time with Jeff Hafley this last season in Green Bay, brought Anthony Perkins with him to be that defensive back coach. But then he also has spent a lot of time with Vic Fangio and Brian Flores down in Miami too. What would be your expectations of what this defense and kind of the focal point of the defense could look like?
I have a lot of hope for the Jags defense because I love a lot of the talent they have on the team. And every year in the draft, I'm like, oh, they picked this player that I really like. Then they go and they don't sort of hit their heights. And I feel like they've opened the door to be able to do that this year. And that for me is really exciting. Do they need more defensive pieces? Sure. But I feel better about every piece they get being maximized. And it is because of all the coaches that you talked about in that sort of halo or ecosystem that he's existed in have found a way to do that with their players. And I heard you talking about Jarian earlier and the fact that he went in and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And they said, hey, that's kind of what we were thinking you ought to do. And when you get that sort of buy-in and alignment from players, regardless of their overall talent level, you're going to get the best out of them because they're excited to be there. They're doing what they want to do. And when that lines up, you can have tremendous results. When that doesn't line up, you get all this friction and they're like, well, I'm not being used the way I should be. And I don't feel like I'm going to be able to achieve everything I want here. Guys start looking for ways out in free agency. And to be able to sort of turn that around, I have hope. Again, I heard you talking about hope earlier, Taylor. I have hope that the Jags have opened that door for their defense because when you look at it, there's a lot of dudes on this defense. Yes, they need more, but they've got talent to start with. They are not bereft talent. So I'm really hopeful that we get to see all those players sort of take whatever leap they're primed to take.
EJ, did you have a chance to read Ashton Genty's article in the Players Tribune?
I did. I'm a huge Ashton Genty fan. I was before that, and that didn't do anything to put out the fire, that's for sure.
I mean, he's just trying to tell his story, right? And it's funny because several years ago, I fell in love with Laviska Shenault because of his Players Tribune article and what he was trying to tell GMs. So now I'm like, well, I don't know if I should fall in love with this one or not because that clearly did not work out.
Yeah, I feel a little different about those two players from just a draft analysis standpoint, so I feel better about reading Genty's article. But Ashton Genty is a great, great football player, and I have maintained that from early on in this process. I think he's going to be successful wherever he goes because of what he is able to do on the field. But when you do get a little bit of a window, and not a lot of us do, like we don't always get to talk to these players and really hear what makes them tick, how they started, why they want to do this. And that's really important when you get to the next level because everybody has talent. Everybody's big. Everybody's fast. Everybody, for the most part, works pretty darn hard. And you've got to have that edge, that chip on your shoulder. And I think that came through in a very sort of positive way. Like, yeah, I have it and I know how to use it and I'm going to use it for your benefit if you draft me. And all those things I think line up to his sort of elite level on and off the field. I would sleep great if my team drafted Ashton Genty.
As we wrap with you, EJ, we brought you on to give us those cornerback rankings, certainly, but defensive back also encompasses the safety position, and I know that's a position that, well, yes, on paper, the Jaguars, in adding Eric Murray, Andre Sisco moves on. They do still have 5 safeties if they were to line up and play a game here today. I'm looking at the notes you sent me, though, and I'm not going to lie. I think I like the ideas you have at 107, but run us through some potential fits for the Jaguars in your estimation at the safety spot.
Yeah, again, if they were to do it early, I don't think it would be 5. 5 is way too early for really any safety, I think. But when you get to 36, there's going to be a couple options depending, again, on how teams see them. And this is just a sort of caveat for this draft. Everybody we say might be there in a certain round might last another 2 rounds in this draft because a lot of the evaluations are very equal, and it's going to be an eye of the beholder draft, and it only takes one team. So if guys like Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State or Xavier Watts from Notre Dame fall to 36, they would certainly be considerations for the Jags. Very different players, but both very skilled. One of my favorite players in the entire draft is Andrew Makuba, and you used to be able to look at him in like the 120 range and say, yeah, I'm going to steal him. And now everybody's kind of caught up. And I really think he's probably going to go between 70 and 90. Great, great player out of Texas. And then 107 is the sweet spot. There's a lot of options. So if they want to prioritize adding to that safety room, but again, they have higher priorities for those earlier picks, I think they could do really well with a guy like RJ Mickens from Clemson, who we got to see at the Shrine Bowl. Jonas Sanker's a favorite of mine out of Virginia. Just hits like a ton of bricks, but has more in coverage than you think. He's not just a box safety. And then one of the quietest players in this entire draft, which I think is terribly unfortunate because I really like his game, is Malachi Moore out of Alabama. And if the league is stupid enough to let Malachi Moore slip down the board, a team like the Jags or cough, the Bears could pick him up, and we'd have the Eddie Jackson thing all over again, the good parts of that in terms of he's a very smart player. He's super experienced, versatile in terms of where he can line up, and pretty much every NFL defense needs that. So a lot of options for the Jags at safety. And yeah, when you look at that room, again, top level's okay, but again, one turned ankle away from, starting, I don't know, Antonio Johnson. You're like, not the greatest.
Yeah, we just did a segment yesterday, EJ, where we each had like what 6 position groups do you think the Jags will walk away with those first 6 picks in the first 4 rounds? And I put safety in mine, and I went on a rant about Andrew Makuba. If we come in the Monday after the draft and Makuba's on the Jags, I'm going to be popping champagne.
Fair enough, but it's going to be really tough to do because he's going to be in navy and orange. Sorry.
Which, okay, I would also pop champagne.
I was going to say, you could do it either way. That lines up really well for you, Taylor.
That's called a win-win. All right, EJ, we appreciate it. 1 week to go, and then you get to turn your attention to whatever else you want to do.
Sleep.
Like I told Dempsey, we've all reached that point of the draft fatigue. But It made me think about Olympians, like Olympic athletes. They have the same goal for 4 years. Like we get tired after 4 months of one conversation. They do the same repetitive stuff for 4 years.
Yeah, that
Can
not
you
for,
imagine
not for
focusing
me.
on
No.
this draft for 4 years?
No, I'm falling asleep. I've done 12 podcasts in 14 days, and my brain is just like scrambled eggs right now.
I am reading the Ronda Rousey autobiography, which of course she was an Olympic bronze medalist in judo before she entered the UFC and MMA space. And she did say, Lauren, like she would have to take that first year after the Olympics off, right, just to completely disconnect. So yeah,
just go do other things.
Even the Olympic athletes, even they can't just do 4 years of this.
I mean, I bet if you were to look at like a Katie Ledecky or Michael Phelps back when he was doing it, like I don't think they'd take a year off, those swimmers. Like I think they go, I'm sure they take a month off or so and then they go right back into it.
Imagine just being like, I don't want to see a pool.
Correct. I don't want to swim. I'll forget how to do flip turns, whatever. I'll relearn them. All right, we will get into the latest on the transfer portal when we return, both college football and basketball. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
The Gator Bowl, 1979. More than 50,000 people in the stands. And what a statement they made that night. 50,000 people, one voice. We want the NFL.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
At Duck Duck Air Conditioning, we've got a crazy offer just for you. We're giving away free AC inspection to our wonderful customers who call and schedule now. No strings attached, zero cost for you. One of our expert techs will come look at your AC unit and make recommendations to ensure it's running at peak performance. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or visit them online at duckduckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Hey, this is Coach Jason Gibson of your Jacksonville Sharks. I know the importance of a strong game plan, and that's exactly what I've got with Clay Solar Installation Partners. They did the install of the solar panels at my house, and I couldn't be happier. Lower energy bills, clean power, and a winning team that made the whole process easy. If you're looking to save money and go solar, trust the pros at Clay Solar. Call Karen at Clay Solar today and tell them that Coach Gibson sent you.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
ET here, and it's time for the Taste of Golf at TPC Sawgrass April 23rd. Join me for fine cuisine from chefs from the top golf clubs in our area. Craft cocktails, games, and unique auction items will be present. This is one of the most impactful charitable events in our area. Come network with a sophisticated audience who's passionate about golf and its values, while impacting the youth in our community. All proceeds benefit First Tee, North Florida. For tickets, go to tasteofgolf.com. Come on, somebody.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 17, 1983, MLB pitching legend Nolan Ryan of the Houston Astros struck out his 3,500th batter in a game against the San Francisco Giants.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Dailies Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Dailies is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here, and it's time to make those summer break plans. Clay County is calling. From paddleboarding on Doctor's Lake to reeling in the big one on Black Creek or cruising the St. Johns River. There's no better place to dive into warm weather fun. Enjoy live music, local festivals, food trucks, and fireworks lighting up the night. Discover scenic parks, hidden trails, and must-visit local gyms. Your summer adventures start here. Visit exploreclay.com.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We'll get to the transfer portal in the next segment because now we are joined by a special guest in Stacey Balaam, Sporting Jax's new USL Super League head coach. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
Absolutely. Welcome to Jacksonville.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
So as people listening can tell, you're not from Florida. Tell people where you're from and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I'm originally from London, England. Came over here, did the college route and played. And so went through my college career. Had a small spell in Iceland playing professionally after that. Then got offered a job into the coaching world, which was then, started, opened that door for me and started that pathway. And stayed in the college system for 15, 16 years until I got the call for Sporting Jax. And here I am today, house hunting here in Jacksonville and
love it.
Assembling a team to get started this upcoming August.
Most recently, of course, with Vanderbilt up in Nashville. So a bit of a Nashville to Jacksonville pipeline. There's direct flights, which we love that as you make that transition. And certainly you were telling us off air, 2 dogs and trying to make that move. Not exactly something that you can do in 24 hours time per se, right?
That's correct. But the weather is better down here.
We
so,
like that.
Yeah, can't complain.
We
Not
like
good
that.
for when I want to wear my hair down because I've got a thick head of hair. So when the humidity hits, this will be up in a bun for sure.
Oh yeah, we know about that.
You're very brave, flat ironing your hair for those not watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X right now. Because yes, I know for me, and I know Lauren and Taylor can echo that. It gets a little difficult in the summertime, but that's okay.
Keratin treatments, that's the way to go.
Yes, there we go. What was it about Sporting Jax? Why the move, A, to the professional ranks, but B, what was it about this particular team?
Well, I think for any coach, they want to elevate their own personal career. And I've, like I said, I've only known the college system. Always dreamed of being in the pro world as a player, but never thought and imagined that it would be something I could explore as a coach. So when I got the call from Mark Warburton, head of soccer at Sporting Jax, he told me about their vision. He told me about their mission and the project that they're putting in place. Just the whole professional pathway for college players to go onto and have that opportunity, I thought was fantastic, because the game has, as you know, has evolved over the years, and it's gained a lot of respect, I think, over, the last 5-10 years. When you look at the national team and what they've done, it's nice to know that the college players have these opportunities, beyond college. Not only that, but now you're in a city with a lot of young female players that love the game, play the game, and need someone to aspire to. And to have that here in Jacksonville, I think is an incredible thing, and I wanted to be a part of that project.
Tell us a little bit about, because obviously the recruiting world in college and how that can transfer and bring over to the scouting world now that you're at the pro level.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great pathway. Obviously, it's a good feeder system into the USL Super League and NWSL. When you see the players that are representing in those leagues, a lot of them are coming out of the college system. So domestically, it's been a great platform for the players to start their careers and to then elevate into the pros. And honestly, I mean, we want to increase our brand so that, domestically, we are an attractive club for these college players to go on to, and globally too. So, we've already recruited some players from overseas, but I think that the college system is a great way to start here in the US.
Stacey, I've had to explain to people, I would call them Americans, who don't really follow soccer, as to what it takes to be a really good soccer player, not just in college, certainly at the next level as well. And that's a vision for the game. It's not just your speed, it's not just your size. It's a vision and how you understand the game to be played. Can you expound upon how growing up, maybe now that, like you said, there's so many more girls playing and youth people in general, how it's changed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the increased exposure for the game has helped young players. Now you're seeing it a lot on TV. Right. You're seeing it a lot on social media. There are players in the national team that are great advocates for the sport. So, when you look at those young female soccer players that had the dream from a young age to be pro, like now they have people to aspire to, but it takes a lot of work. You got to be a high performer in the sport, and you've got to have an elite mentality to go with that. So putting in the work, outside of training time and watching the game, studying the game. When you go through the college system, it's almost like a professional system at that point. And so you've got to be really disciplined, and you've got to have that elite mentality to want to be able to push through challenges and to make sure that you are the best athlete, the best technician, like you're learning tactically. So you've got to be a high performer in all categories.
In addition to your hire, Stacey, as the head of the women's team, walk us through some of the other exciting things going on with Sporting Jax. Certainly the Adidas partnership, Mark Warburton being named the head of soccer. What else are some of the exciting highlights over this last month? I know you've only really been here a week and a half, 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible team that I'm working amongst with everybody behind the scenes. Just came from the office, actually, and everybody is just so excited about, launching this project and getting this women's team up and running. And they can't do enough for me right now. They're trying to make my life easier and just focus on the team. But they're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get this off the ground and to really create a great fan base here in the city, and to gain that exposure as well. And I think it's really important, because we want to build that relationship within Jacksonville. So there is a lot of excitement, just not only from me, but from everybody, in Sporting Jax. And the hire of Mark, I think, says a lot. It makes a statement, because he's a well-known name from where I'm from. And I knew who he was immediately when I was put in touch with him. And it was a great conversation. He actually was a part of the team that I supported growing up. And so we had a great conversation about that, and had a bit of banter back and forth. He brought some joy to my club that I hadn't had for a long time, and so I thanked him for that.
Tell us
it's
who your
West
club
Ham.
is. Okay,
West Ham. So born and raised in that area, and there's a lot of highs and lows being a West Ham fan, but he was part of a huge accomplishment for the club a few years ago, and they won a European trophy. And first thing I said to him was thank you so much for bringing joy to the West Ham fans. But, you know, he's very experienced in the game, very well known within the game. I think his hire has made a big statement for the club. But you know, I think that we're very attractive and very appealing right now to a lot of players out there that are looking for that professional platform.
You tweeted, too, the hire of Steve Fell as performance coach from the U.S. men's national team. I mean, you tweeted it that this is certainly something that states and showcases that desire to be great.
Absolutely. I mean, when you've got someone that's working with the men's national team that is here going to be the head of sports performance at Sporting Jax, that shows the investment from the club and what we're trying to do to help these players become, you know, the best performers on the field. And having resources at hand like that, you know, and Steve's expertise, I think that goes a long way. It's very appealing for these players.
When we're talking about, I know you're really busy because we were talking about a move, so you're trying to find a house and build a team from scratch right now at this point. But when it goes to that, you talk about the talent and the on-field product. But a big part of it, too, you're bringing a bunch of women together that have never played together. You're trying to build that culture, too. How much of that does that take into account for you, and how do you kind of learn that side of the women as you're bringing them to Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point because I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. Every player has come from a different background, a different coaching style. They've learned different coaching language. They might be from a different culture, you know, a different country. So to try and mesh them all together and, you know, be able to create one identity with a group of players that have come from different pathways, I think is going to be the biggest challenge. But as long as we are all aligned, you know, with the same goals, the same mission, we can have a concise and detailed identity about us from the start. I think that everybody will align and hopefully be on the same page.
Well, hopefully, right? There's a lot of hope when it comes to new organizations. Stacey Balaam with us, Sporting Jax's new USL Super League head coach. Okay, so when does it all come to fruition? When will the team be finalized? When do the games begin at Hodges Stadium on the campus of UNF?
Yeah, we'll start to announce the team probably late May. Okay. And then, you know, we're getting there. It's taking shape, and we're speaking daily with players and agents and Zoom calls and lots of phone calls. So, yep, but hopefully that will all be in place by the end of May for us to announce that. And then July 1 is when we actually start preseason. Within that time, we will have 4 or 5 preseason games to prepare us for mid-August, which will be the official start date for the league.
So you have a month in between when the team's finalized and when the preseason begins.
Yeah, we're going to hit the ground running.
Hey, listen, that's better than the WNBA. They got 3 weeks. So, I mean, we'll take the 4.5 or 4 and 5, 4 or 5 or whatever it is. But this is the part, I'm sure, for you, Stacey. You were coaching at the collegiate ranks during this NIL transfer portal era, so maybe that kind of gave you a little bit of a leg up. But certainly, like you said, the fact that you spend most of your day now acquiring talent, having to be on Zoom calls with agents and players, I'm sure this is a little bit different than maybe what you were doing a year ago today.
Yeah, I mean, the landscape's changing in college for sure with the NIL. Now, it's becoming more apparent now with women's soccer, but I think football, basketball, they're kind of leading the charge with NIL. And I would probably speak for the masses here that a lot of us didn't enjoy the NIL conversation.
Oh, don't worry. We talk about it all the time here. You're in a safe space. It's all good.
And it can become tricky because at the end of the day, you know, I'm really passionate about the game. And I feel like every player should have that passion. It shouldn't become about money. It shouldn't become a negotiation. If you love the school and it checks a lot of your boxes and you have that relationship and that rapport with the coaching staff and you know that that's the best place to make you better and for you to elevate your career, it shouldn't be about the money at that point. So I don't typically like it, but that's now the landscape that we're in with the college world.
And now you get to be out of it and just talk about contracts and move right ahead. Last thing for you, Stacey, how many people ask you about Ted Lasso when they find out you're, in the world of soccer and you're from London?
I'm a massive Ted Lasso fan.
Yeah.
I actually met him when he was filming in Richmond. So I did get a picture with him while he was filming down there. It's a real place. And it's brought a lot of attention, I think, to the nation. And I think it's just an amazing show. It has so many hidden meanings. It's not just about soccer, but yeah, I'm really pleased that they're bringing another season back. They actually, a few of my friends thought it was funny that they would get me a Richmond visor, as the Ted Lasso hat. And they've encouraged me to do one of these with the Ted Lasso hat on. But
awesome.
I haven't had the courage to do that yet.
Yeah, you need the little sign in the locker room that I believe.
Yeah. I have it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Stacey, thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck in not just finding a house and moving, of course, but the season as well.
I look forward to it. Look forward to seeing you guys at games.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Stacey Balaam, the Sporting Jax new USL Super League head coach. And by the way, fun fact, more men have walked the moon than there are women coaching women's pro soccer.
Wow.
12 men have walked the moon, only 7 women coaching women's pro soccer. So there you have it. We've got the transfer portal on the other side. Speak of the devil. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
We do things as a team, gentlemen. Jacksonville's live and local sports radio. We cannot be defeated. 1010XL. 10XL. 10XL.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both? With everyday deals at Sunny's. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sunny's here. Sunny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljax.com. That's COYLE Jax.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today. Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJax.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%. Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only, and only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local, shop Beard's.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
What Major League Baseball team has never been to a World Series? The answer next.
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The Seattle Mariners, who were founded in 1977, have never been to the World Series.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street. I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Baker Glass. Last night at Nice High School, a big-time lacrosse matchup went down as Ponte Vedra defeated Nice 18-8 in the Class 2A District 3 championship game. Ponte Vedra defeated Nice for the second time this year, beating them 10-7 earlier on in the season. The two programs have a chance to face off again in the 2A regional final. The Jacksonville University men's lacrosse team is looking to bounce back from a hard-fought 17-14 loss at Utah last weekend as they welcome the Bellarmine Knights to town. The Dolphins, currently 7-4 on the season and 2-1 in ASUN play, are in second place in the conference and are in good position to make the ASUN semifinals Friday, May 2nd, with hopes of winning the ASUN and returning back to the NCAA tournament under head coach John Galloway. It's 76 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
1 o'clock hour is here. We do want to address, since I know plenty of you have hit us up on the text line and on YouTube as well, as we begin this second hour of Helmets and Heels. Yes, there is an active shooter report right now on the Florida State University campus. The only information we have at this time is that the shelter in place remains in effect. At least 4 people have been hospitalized, according to WCTV Eyewitness News out in Tallahassee. Obviously, thinking of everybody out there in Tallahassee, and if you do have friends in the area, the local elementary schools in that neck of the woods are also under lockdown. No word yet officially on if the shooter has actually been detained by police. And so we will try to keep you up to date, but obviously want to report what we know to be fact and what we have seen from verified news sources at this time.
What's really sad is I was just thinking the other day, man, I feel like it has been a long time since we've had an active shooter incident, and I'm so thankful for that because it felt like for a while there, it almost seemed like every other week we were talking about it. And so, yeah, like you said, thoughts and prayers with everyone in Tallahassee. Hope that they're able to detain the active shooter soon and that the hospitalizations are as dire as it gets.
And I do want to report from EW Scripps Capitol reporter and former colleague of mine out in Iowa, Forrest Saunders, that he is seeing multiple injured people be loaded into ambulances, and that includes one man who was shackled by law enforcement. So again, we don't have any verified information outside of that at this time, if the shelter in place has been lifted, if the shooter has been located, but obviously our thoughts and prayers are with Florida State, and it's awful that in the year 2025, I have to continue to simply say thoughts and prayers about gun violence in America.
One other news update, Florida sophomore center Ruben Chinyelu, who started, of course, all 40 games this past season, has declared for the 2025 NBA draft. Of course, he can return if he so desires. That alongside Alex Condon, still awaiting word on Thomas Houck as far as what he's going to do. I would imagine he's going to do the same thing, put his name into the NBA draft, and then decide hopefully to come back. I'm hoping all three of these guys come back. Certainly we'll keep you updated.
And the big news out of Gainesville last night.
Yes.
Xavier Lee. I had no idea, Lauren, that the 26th ranked player in the transfer portal, an absolute microwave for the Princeton Tigers of the Ivy League the last 3 years, especially this past season, that him and Thomas Houck played high school basketball together. I did not know that until probably like 6 or 7 o'clock last night. And Thomas Houck, of course, did tweet out the picture of the two of them in high school with a bunch of smiley faces, which leads me to believe, Taylor Dahl, I don't think Thomas Houck's going to declare, even if it's just exploratory at this point, as far as the NBA draft goes.
Yeah, I think a lot of you'll see a lot where it's like doing the due diligence, let's just test the waters a little bit. Yeah. And then also I think that gets your name out there even more so that when you do come back that, oh, Thomas Houck, let's watch more of him last year because he did, dabble in possibly entering the draft last year.
I mean, if anyone watched the NCAA tournament, the SEC tournament too, but mainly the NCAA tournament, you know who Thomas Houck is at this point in time. You know how to pronounce his last name.
Hopefully.
You know he's from Pennsylvania. Obviously, Xavier Lee, like Mia said, also from that small town in Pennsylvania. Xavier last year with the Princeton team averaged 16.9 points, 6.1 rebounds, 5.5 assists, shot nearly 37% from three. He also became the first program in Princeton history to record a triple-double, finishing with 18 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists in a win at St. Joseph's in early December. So a really good school there. All Ivy League selection twice. So certainly as Walter Clayton exits, you are welcoming Xavier Lee. Todd Golden and his staff especially are welcoming Xavier Lee because it's going to be hard to replace the type of production that he got from all three guards. Right. So at least one at a time will help. And the front court now we don't know either.
The hope is Denzel Aberdeen takes the next step too.
Sure. And at times this season, while I had said multiple times he can be careless with the basketball, I thought he improved tremendously in that area this season. And look, from three, at times he was a sharp shooter. So yes, you hope that with more reps, obviously, on the floor, that he's going to improve a ton.
Because look at the improvement of Walter Clayton Jr. playing a different position, too, because he was playing off-ball in 2023, 2024.
Zion was the main point
Correct.
guard, yeah.
And so I'm not suggesting that Denzel Aberdeen immediately is the point guard, but what I am saying...
No, I think Xavier Lee is the point guard.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is look at what even that shift of scenery slightly from one position to the other, what that did for Walter Clayton Jr. It turned him into the national most outstanding most outstanding player of the NCAA Final Four. There will be those who say he's the third best player nationally. I think he's okay with a national title.
Behind Cooper Flagg and Janai Broom.
Yeah, just
and
because
where were they on Monday night of the national championship
Not in San Antonio
game?
anymore.
No, not at all. Speaking of the transfer portal, University of North Florida loses two guys to the portal. We knew they were already in the portal, but as far as to other schools, Josiah Miles, the leading scorer, will head to Indiana, and Liam Murphy will head to Purdue. So Coach Driscoll, we already knew was going to have a lot of work to do. Unlike Todd Golden, I don't think Coach Driscoll has the coffers of resources, wealth, and finances to be able to offer new players. That's certainly an advantage that Todd Golden has, and he specifically has stated thank you to, you've heard of Condren Family Ballpark. The Condrens gave another $1 million to the basketball program, and certainly money flows in when there's a national championship. For Coach Driscoll, his staff, and certainly for our compatriots at Jacksonville University as well, whenever you lose a guy like a Rob McCray to Florida State, you don't necessarily have the type of funds that these Power 4 schools do, so they have to go out, beat the streets, and recruit guys that aren't nearly as well known.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and it sucks. Like, we're going to say that over and over again, and we were just talking to Stacey Balaam off air too, and obviously coming from Vanderbilt, she was talking about Vandy had a similar situation to the Nico situation of a basketball player and saying, hey, I'm gonna be in the portal or give me $1.8 million or whatever the number is. $1.6 million. If you don't, I'm gone. And Vandy said, okay, bye.
Yeah, so, Jason Edwards is his name.
Yeah. And so we're in this world. I do like now that coaches are battling back a little bit in the area, but unfortunately with smaller schools, there's not much they can do in this scenario.
Yeah, you just have to hope that your program, like for certainly Coach Driscoll, for instance, Coach Mincy too, but for Coach Driscoll, he's done it at UNF longer. He has to get guys to believe that when they come to his system, even if it is a stepping stone, like it has been for Chaz Lanier and now others, that they will become on the forefront of minds of other programs, and that will lead them to bigger and better things. Again, he hopes that they stay on the campus of UNF, but if it is just for a year, if it helps them be successful, he wants to get them in their system, show the world how well they can shoot from three, and then move along.
And this is a massive... It's awful to say that this is a massive recruiting tool and a massive recruiting win for Matt Driscoll to lose 2 of your top 6 scorers to Power 4 institutions in the Big Ten Conference.
Sure.
But it truly is. I mean, John O'Leary's been really covering UNF basketball for us this past season. And when he texted me last night and just said Liam, I was like, Liam Cohen? I'm like, what are we talking about here? And then he said Purdue. And I'm like, Liam Cohen's going to Purdue? What are you talking about? And I pulled it up. And look,
he's leaving already.
Ultimately, Liam Murphy's a very interesting situation because he was a grad transfer from Columbia. So this is a second grad transfer.
Right.
When I was informed that he was even entering the portal, I remember being stunned because I was like, he's got to be out of eligibility by now. Trust me, those folks out there at Purdue with Matt Painter and company, they definitely vetted this. The NCAA Clearinghouse has confirmed he has a year of eligibility. And so for Matt Driscoll, I know that's a victory that, look, he earned a degree from UNF, or at the very least was working towards a graduate degree after completing his undergraduate in the Ivy League. And, and he moves on, and Josiah's a little bit different because it's different than Chaz, who did get his undergraduate degree in 4 years from the University of North Florida. But this is the age we live in. And ultimately, those guys, one of the top scorer on your team this past season, the top 3-point shooter in the ASUN Conference, those are pretty lofty resume items to carry into the transfer portal.
Yeah,
I remember. Go ahead.
Sorry. And it goes beyond, too. We talk about the player specifically and how that affects the team, but also it sucks for the coaches because you are building this product where we just had that conversation too. If you're building team, the actual athlete and the playing type and all of that, but you're also building the culture. And when you feel like you have something that's working and then you're losing multiple pieces of that in a season, not only do you have to find the talent to replace it, but you also have to find the right guys that fit that locker room and how everybody gets along and how you coach, because not everybody takes to the same type of coaching. So it messes up so many things as you're trying to build something, and it really sucks that it's becoming this product where it is 1-year products, because I don't know if we're going to see as much high-end teams where you're like, man, this team plays really good basketball or really good football, because they don't have years together to form that camaraderie and all of the cohesiveness that it takes to build powerhouse teams.
Right. And how do you push one another if you barely know each other?
Yeah.
Right? That's another thing when it comes to digging deep. If you just met the person 3 months ago, are you really going to be able to say to that person, let's go run more, let's go do stadiums? The person's going to be like, I don't know you.
But at this point in time, and Matthew Driscoll said this in his opening address to begin the 2024-2025 season, you're building teams for a year, which I agree. It's not a way to build consistency and continuity in any walk of life if there's constant turnover year after year. But ultimately, that's the hand that these mid-majors have been dealt.
If Florida had only had Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, Elijah Martin they did, but Will Richard, Walter Clayton Jr., Thomas Houck, Alex Condon, all for only 1 year, Florida doesn't win the national championship.
No.
I can guarantee you that. The reason they were able to is they had guys that had been in the system since Todd Golden started, and then they were able to get a couple guys in a Ruben Chinyelu, certainly in Elijah Martin, that were able to fit into the system, but the other guys had been there at least for a year, and they know what those off-season conditioning workouts were going to be. You've seen videos on social, they talk about pushing themselves.
Yeah.
They did that and beyond, and again, Elijah Martin certainly added to that, Ruben Chinyelu added to that, but you have to have the foundation there. I don't think you'll ever see a team of guys, all 5 transfer portal starters, that wins a national title.
Yeah, and it links to when we talk about college football and the NFL too, and that when you get reps together, you're more comfortable together. And I was talking to Mike Griffith about Georgia yesterday and kind of some of the areas of concern last year of why they couldn't run the ball and other things that were going on. And one of the things he mentioned is that all 5 offensive linemen at some point missed time last year. And so when you're not playing with the starting 5, which we know that feeling here in Jacksonville, the amount of times recently, if you see the different formations they've had to have on that that line because people can't stay healthy. And so or they just can't keep their job, whatever it may be. But that's big. That factors in so much to how much you can actually do for a team as a whole. And that trickles down to everything. It trickles down to the run game and then back to Trevor Lawrence and about to just the offense in general. And so there's just so many factors into these things. And if in college basketball, you're telling me that these guys can only play together, they're only going to be playing together for 1 year, we're never going to see the product we used to see in the world of college basketball.
What hurts Georgia me is, especially when you've got a Jared Wilson and you've got a Tate Ratledge, two guys that are going to be drafted fairly high, and those are the types of guys that were missing time. It's not just your average
just like the guy.
Well, all I know is Gus Logan and I did the Duval Rundown podcast this morning on fits for the Jaguars along the offensive line, and of course we brought up multiple Georgia offensive linemen. I really should have listened to Making Monsters. Is this episode with Mike Griffith out yet?
It is not actually. It comes out Monday.
Okay, all right, because I was like, man, I really missed Taylor's podcast. That really would have given me some insight, or I should have called Mike. So because I mean, look, it's one of those things where this is the world we live in. Like I said, about year over year, there's constant change. Because here's the thing, even if it was an injury, I'm not suggesting that you could have had a Georgia offensive lineman who wanted more money and held out midseason. But we're going to get to that point.
Definitely.
Are we not? Maybe not along the offensive line, because they're a different breed along the offensive line and a little bit more old school, traditionally speaking. But at some point in time, that continuity mid-season is going to be tested, not just because of injury.
I don't think we would see it at a school like Georgia, just the way that.
But we're going to see it in the Power 4 level.
But certainly, and that leads us to our next topic on the other side. Nico Iamaleava has a new school. We will get to that as well as a Terminix Pest of the Day. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Do you even know how to work this stupid thing?
Professional.
We've got to do something.
Steadfast.
Very confused by what's going on.
Deep thinkers.
Here we go. Focus.
Mornings on the drill.
Abundanza.
On 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of both new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop into the dealership today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida. Be a big.
If Liam Cohen is looking to replicate what he had in Tampa Bay with a pair of talented receivers, the 6'4" Ted McMillan would be amazing to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. McMillan is a possession receiver with the size and ball skills to create big wins deep. He also has a knack for adjusting his routes and working back on throws, which would certainly make Trevor Lawrence's job a whole lot easier.
All right, fellas, I got to brag a little. I'm down 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss and keeping it off.
That's cute, Matt. I'm down 110 pounds. That's like losing a Backstreet Boy.
Okay, so I'm the rookie here. I just started, but I'm already down 13 pounds, and let me tell you, it feels good to see the results already.
That's the thing, man. Awaken 180 works. No shots, no meds, no gimmicks, just real food, real support, and real results.
The support team is a game changer because we all know it's so easy to get distracted. But with Awaken 180, you get your own coach and a plan that works with your lifestyle.
lifestyle and free support for life.
Plus, no gym workouts required, which is great because let's be honest, I wasn't running wind sprints either.
25, 40, even 110 pounds. If we all can do it, so can you. Call 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com.
That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
One of the best things about being on the First Coast is standing at the center of the golf world.
Yes, it is.
Brunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info. Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers. Bucks. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks!
Go Sharks! Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Yo, E.T. here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar, Twin Peaks. Scratch kitchen scores every time. Dig in the hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge. Come on, somebody.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
1, 2, 3, My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure.
Little Outcast for you on this Thursday afternoon. We were just chatting about the transfer portal. Well, we have been documenting the Nico Iamaleava story and saga all week long. Colin Cowherd yesterday tweeted out that Nico is heading to UCLA. The family claims it's not about the money, it's about the volunteer football offense. And he does not know what the UCLA Bruins are paying Nico. Not about
what
the money.
It's about the offense.
It's about the offense.
What are they?
Let me debunk those two things. One, if he was
didn't know where you were going, first of all.
If he was looking for more money in December during the college football playoff and asking for more money yet again in January when he was already told no, then and trying to even go to other schools at that point in time for more money, then yes, it's about the money, Colin. Don't be naive. And I tend to be someone who is naive, and I can see the writing on the wall on this one. And two, the volunteer offense is one of the best offenses in all of college football. That's what we talked about on Friday when we were at the UNF Beach Volleyball Complex. Like, how are you going to find an offense that's better suited for you than what Josh Heupel does? Look at the success of the guys before you, Nico. And oh, by the way, you weren't, like we've said, you weren't even that good of a quarterback last year. If you watch Tennessee, he constantly would miss the deep ball. Like, you know how to be successful in any offense? Hit the deep ball when the guy's running wide open.
Also, is UCLA offense better than...
This is not the Terminex Pass of the day, okay?
No,
I just wanted to clarify.
We've already had Nico and his dad at the Terminex Pass.
I thought they might be the first two-time award winner. I had to ask first. Continue, Taylor.
I could make Nico the pest of the day every day this week, but I won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, is the UCLA offense supposed to be better than the Tennessee Volunteer offense? I'm very confused. That
Deshaun
roster,
Foster, by the way, is the head coach there, former UCLA running back, and then also NFL running back.
So that's where my mind, when it came to this UCLA, because I was seeing a lot of people tweet about, I'm not sure about that UCLA roster right now. My first thought went to Deshaun Foster because this last season, UCLA was 5-7. Obviously, everybody kind of was like, it's okay. Chip Kelly left. This is the first year without him. They're having to kind of rebuild and rebrand and figure things out under Foster. And so he didn't get a lot of heat at all this last season. It was kind of like there's some excusable things happening. This adds to me a lot of pressure, not only for Nico, because that is going to be one of the bigger storylines, but this adds pressure for Deshaun Foster almost immediately because now you are going to be paying, and we don't know the money side yet, how much he's going to be making there, but you're paying a quarterback now to come in, and this is somebody who's also going to bring a lot of limelight because this is going to be one of the bigger stories in college football of, okay, you left Tennessee, now you're headed to UCLA, you say that you wanted it, now you say that this offense, the volunteer offense, wasn't good enough for you, but this UCLA offense is. And so I think this adds so much pressure under the UCLA program, Deshaun Foster, and Nico Iamaleava. And so I think there's going to be so much chatter, especially to start the season. If it starts bad, it's going to look extra bad.
So I just want to, okay. No, he's still there. Ethan Garbers, right? The quarterback for UCLA last year. I thought he's still on the roster.
I don't know. I know they were saying the Aguilar guy was the one. Joey Aguilar is the one that was going to be starting, and so that's who Nico would be replacing. So I'm not sure what.
No, I mean, I'm looking at his Twitter right now, and his Twitter says maybe because he was like a third or a fourth string young kid. I mean, he wasn't, though, because he committed in 2020.
Yeah. I just saw their projected starter this year was Joey Aguilar.
Oh, no. Aguilar. Okay, he did declare for the NFL draft.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
So that's why.
That makes a little, okay. And he played in the Shrine Bowl. That makes a little bit more sense to me. I did not realize he had declared for the NFL draft because I was like, I thought they already had like an entrenched guy, but evidently no, he's headed to the NFL draft. So they bring in the App State transfer. And now they bring in Nico. Yeah. I mean, look, it is UCLA. We have seen with their counterparts across town at USC vying for headlines in Southern California, and it's a town that's built on stars. And at this juncture, for better or worse, he's a star in the sport, if for no other reason than everyone knows his name, and now people can suddenly pronounce it.
Yeah, say it with me. Iamaleava. Iamaleava. Look, I think at the end of the day, if I was Deshaun Foster, I would not have taken Nico and the circus that is the entourage that is his family and all the demands. I am fascinated to see what UCLA is paying this guy.
Yeah.
If he can truly elevate your roster, then I understand why you made the move. I don't know that he can, and you're getting all the baggage to go along with it. So I know a lot of people were hoping that no Power 4 school would want Nico and would take him. That was probably not going to be the case because everybody is always looking for a quarterback that's better than what they have. It's just at the end of the day, I feel like this situation is going to shed a light onto the bad parts of NIL, the dark side of NIL. And finally people will say, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't actually be supporting that that school's collective. Like, I want to instead support the athlete on their own. Like, you can buy a Walter Clayton Jr. t-shirt that goes directly to, those proceeds go directly to Walter Clayton Jr. versus putting money into the Florida collective.
Now, the way this could backfire is if he plays really well and UCLA is really good, because then people are going to say, okay, well, was Tennessee and Josh Heupel holding him back, and he really did feel like the offense wasn't made for him or wasn't kind of the type of offense he felt like he could run best, and then Deshaun Foster was able to revamp things. If it comes to the end of next year and we're talking about Nico being one of the better college football quarterbacks, that might backfire a little bit of Heupel's decision.
Are you ready for another nominee for Pest of the Day?
Sure.
Not that it's my job to give you that.
Don't worry. Yeah, I have one.
I was like, I have one also.
Well,
Taylor's is on TV.
Well,
right
Taylor's
now.
is the same as mine. Are we ready to have that conversation, or do we want to hit the actual winner of today's Pest of the Day?
Sure, we'll do today's Pest of the Day, brought to you by Terminix. It is that time of year for mosquitoes. They are certainly out in full force. Make sure you have Terminix come and treat your yard. They will have a trusted technician come like they're doing at our house this afternoon, and they will protect you and your family with those regular treatments. And it's TERMINIX.com. Terminix.com is the website. The Pest of the Day is the guy that sat behind us at the spring game on Saturday. So he was very intoxicated, and we know that because he was shouting every single word that he said, and so he had told his friends that he was very intoxicated. And he thought he knew everything about everything. One of those types of people, right? So if you're going to sit behind us at a spring game and you're going to be loud and obnoxious, okay, I can handle all that. Until you start screaming for DJ Lagway, who he called Lag God, but that's neither here nor there. Lag God, yeah.
Okay.
And then it wasn't DJ Lagway on the field when he was screaming, let's go, Lag God. DJ, of course, only took those 2 snaps. It was a different quarterback. It was Tramel Jones that had come out. All that aside, he then turned the Masters on. And look, you know me, I love the Masters.
On his phone?
Yeah, on his phone with the volume all the way up, like an inch behind my head. And like, I love the Masters. Watched it with volume on the way home. Sure, like when that was the activity. You're at the spring game. It's not on TV. You can't go back and rewatch it later. And again, this kid pretended to know everything about Florida football. He did not, but that's fine. Don't put your phone. I'm just going to do a PSA for everyone. If you are out in a public space, whether it's the DMV, whether it's the Florida spring game, whether it's a lobby at the doctor's office, please do not put your phone on full volume on anything you're watching, whether it's a sporting event or a TikTok video. Use your headphones.
Enough kids are walking around with AirPods in their ears these days
That's
when there's
fine by
nothing
me.
on.
Yeah, I don't care what you do, but I do not want to listen to what you have on, and I don't need Jim Nance and the birds chirping behind my head when I'm trying to concentrate on Duke Clark and obviously all the offensive weapons in general, like we've talked about with Dallas Wilson and Vernon Brown and on these new guys. Like, let me concentrate on those people.
Yeah, I'm all for, I've had many sporting events where I've had my phone on another sporting event because there's times when I need to watch multiple sporting events, but the volume is not on.
Correct. Like, I've been at the
you
spring
can put
game.
subtitles on if you need to.
Sure, yeah, closed captioning.
Yeah.
I've been at the spring game years ago when they had it on a Thursday night, and gymnastics was in the semifinals of the national championships. I, of course, had gymnastics on, but not the volume on. And so it's just, for that kid, I'm not going to go into any more detail about who he is or his life.
I
or
wonder how
anything
long
like
it
that.
took him to realize until it was not DJ Lagway on the phone.
His friends immediately said something.
Okay.
And like a couple times we would say something to him because he was like, I'm going to be the next, Buckets Anderson. And we were like, no, you're not. And also, you don't even go to the University of Florida is what it turned out. But either that's okay. You can go to the spring game and not go there. But if you're going to be the most obnoxious person, like at least know what you're talking about. So that's today's Terminix Pest of the Day. We'll talk about, you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers on the other side?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this kid is the real pest of the day. I don't even know what Aaron Rodgers is. He continues to be an enigma. I will tease you the highlights of what he has to say by telling you that he said he's 41 years old in a serious relationship. He's battling difficult
Ayahuasca
stuff.
enthusiast. I'm sorry, that's what they have him labeled.
Apparently, hold on, I got to read this
because he doesn't have a team, so they go with
This one's amazing. He just there's a lot of quotes we got to read because Aaron Rodgers is back, folks, and I don't know for how long.
There you go. Speaking of gymnastics, by the way, today 4:30, the first semifinal of the national championships. Florida goes up against Alabama, Missouri, and Oklahoma. The other semifinal 9 p.m. tonight. UCLA, LSU, Michigan State, Utah. So very important meet for Florida at 4:30 today. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. One segment to go on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
From the first play ball to the final, your home for play-by-play is 1010XL.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just ask your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjax.com.
Mia here. I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you really want to know is, why buy from Arlington Toyota? Well, you're in luck because I have over 800 reasons why. Like the fact that Arlington has over 800 vehicles to choose from, all on one lot, all at Arlington. And here's 60 more reasons, as in 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Seriously, I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. Picture it. You buy it, drive it everywhere for 60 days, decide you love it, or decide you don't and exchange it. Now that is some test drive. And here's even more reasons why, like 0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla. You can even choose no payments till August 2025. You heard that right. No payments until August 2025 at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Now you know why you need to buy from Arlington. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/save for full details.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Make the most of every lawn with Kubota commercial landscaping equipment. From the productivity-boosting Z700 mower to the reliable SVL track loader, it's a lineup built to get the job done right. Because when your reputation is on the line, you need equipment that will never let you down. Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville or McClenny.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
The best game day parking in all of Duval is at Tailgaters Parking. Are you ready for some football? Tailgaters is just steps away on the east side of the stadium. Visit tailgatorsparking.com and secure your season parking pass today.
1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Mason Graham from Michigan has been a player many have connected to Jacksonville in this year's draft. Graham provides activity, effort, strength, and quickness, with the first step that makes the defensive tackle's interior disruption inevitable. And although he doesn't have the freakish size, length, or athleticism that others might offer, he is tough, consistent, and productive. And that's what the teal and black need inside. New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement and repairs. Financing's available with monthly payments as low as $115. But this deal ends April 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down. with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jax cool since 87.
Okay, so this is the quote I was searching for that we have to lead with. Aaron Rodgers, print the shirts, folks. I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. Print the shirts.
What does that even mean? Someone tagged me in that, and he goes, I'm just pretty much saying, he goes, forever and always pest of the day, talking about Aaron Rodgers. And he goes, what does this even mean? But the whole thing is like, I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. So yeah, retirement still could be a possibility. But right now my focus has been and will continue to be on my personal life. He also apparently made a quote about another one that I saw that I was cracking up on. 37 seconds into this interview, he starts talking about the spiritual healing of dolphins. That was another part of it. And
we were trying to figure out if he has an X in between his two penciled in eyebrows, or they've just been waxed. Maybe they've been waxed and they've always been bushy. I don't know, but his eyebrows are looking a little funky caterpillar up there.
All right, I'm going to cool down with the fact that the Jaguars have never picked at pick 126. That is in round 4. Jaguars PR tweeted this out yesterday. The Jaguars, of course, hold 10 picks in this upcoming draft. Here are the players that they most recently selected with those draft slots. Pick number 5 overall, cornerback Jalen Ramsey, 2016. It was great until it wasn't. Pick number 36, linebacker Miles Jack. Of course, injury concerns is what kept sliding. He was both a running back and a linebacker at UCLA. Pick number 70, linebacker Chad Muma. Yeah, was he down? He was not down. Chad Muma in the, like I said, 70th pick in the 3rd round, 2022. He, of course, still on the team. Pick number 88, same with Tank Bigsby, still on the team. He was picked in 2023. Pick 107, this was a good one. Round 4, wide receiver Mike Thomas, picked back in 2009. He was certainly really productive for the Jaguars. Like I said, pick 126 has never happened. Pick 142, linebacker Brandon Marshall in 2012. Pick 182, I have to be honest, I had never heard of this person. Defensive tackle Emarlos Leroy.
Nope.
Picked in 1999.
Haven't heard of that one.
Pick 194, linebacker Pat Thomas. That was in 05. And then pick 221 in the 7th round, linebacker John Hesse, also in 1997. So, again, when they make pick 126, assuming they pick in that slot and don't move up or move down, that will be the first time that's ever happened in Jaguars history. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, very interesting. There's some around the numbers you just said. There's some good. There's some bad in there.
Yeah.
There's some that I would take again, which is a good thing to see, actually.
For sure. We've spent so much time talking about pick number 5, and obviously for the longest time, the first mock drafts that come out are all just round 1. And then eventually, the closer you get to the draft, you get to see the 3-round mocks and the 7-round mocks and things like that. To me, yes, while pick 5 is so important, it sets the tone for the organization. Picks 36, 70, and 88 are also critical to this team. I think all 3 of those guys could start.
You need at least 3 starters
right
from this class. That's the threshold. That's the threshold. And that's not just the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know what Daniel Jeremiah has said on NFL Network the last week. Again, there's not a ton of blue chip talent in this year's class, but there's enough starters that you should be able to hit on the evaluation, you would think, and come away with at least 3 of them, if not more.
If you go through the majority of draft profiles of the guys in the first that are projected in the first 3 rounds, almost every single one does say could be an immediate starter. It just obviously depends what team they're going to.
And what level of starter. That's
and that's part of it, too. Because some of them are more, sometimes you'll see the rotational pieces, especially if it's defensive linemen. Like, hey, he may be an immediate starter, but he's more of, like certain down type of guy situations, and then eventually could build his way to a 3-down guy, whatever the case may be. And so, but there's a lot of guys that you're seeing in those first 3 rounds that are like, could be an immediate starter with the right team is the thing. So obviously that's now what James Gladstone and company are evaluating, the guys that could be immediate starters that fit on this roster right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about if the Jaguars take Mason Graham. I know, Mia, how you think. If they go defensive tackle at 5, at 36, you're plugged into receiver.
Yes. And unless there's someone who fell that you're just like, oh my God, like we have to take this player.
Okay, if it's offensive lineman at 5, what is it at 36? Still receiver?
A defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. Yes. So then receiver gets pushed back.
Yeah, and look, and Liam Cohen's quote, I don't want to completely misconstrue and be like it's 36 or nothing when it comes to wide receiver for the Jags, because I think they could come away with 2 pass catchers, whether that's a wide receiver and a tight end or 2 wide receivers, if not more, by the end of the NFL draft. I think that there's also a nice sweet spot, even if it's not in the traditional mold, as our friend EJ Snyder, who joined us in the 12 o'clock hour, pointed out to me yesterday. Even if it's not a wide receiver in the traditional mold of a McVay Ram-style wide receiver, ultimately there are guys who maybe they become your lead punt returner, your lead kick returner. They free up Parker Washington a little bit, and they are that Z wide receiver who can complement De'Ami Brown and can continue to create opportunities for Brian Thomas Jr. and your tight ends underneath. And so that's where I say, again, if you're going to go offensive line with the 5th overall pick, if you're going to go running back with the 5th overall pick, then all of a sudden it's, okay, well, now we need that plug-and-play defensive tackle, which you can get, but then maybe you say, maybe we're not going to get that plug-and-play number 2 or 3 wide receiver that we hoped we would get at 36.
Because if Parker Washington, according to Liam Cohen, right now being the second wide receiver 2, right, second wide receiver after Brian Thomas Jr., if that's what he is, then I am even more concerned. We talked about this at Big Dogs that day in Orange Park. I'm even more concerned then about Parker Washington returning, because there is certainly a high injury for risk when it comes to whether it's punt return or kick return.
Yeah, I'm similar in this side. If we go Mason Graham at 5, I feel like for me that next one, I would guess a wide receiver would be my guess at that early 30 pick. But I also think that I wouldn't be surprised if they went another defensive player, personally.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah,
it's making that
another
statement.
defensive player. Yeah, and so to me, it would be one of those 2 at that next pick. And then if you go offensive lineman, obviously, I still think it would be one of those 2 at that pick. But even more so, I think that that makes the focus even bigger on that. So I do think that when we're talking about this roster and you go through the needs and how the level of, the level of playing, and we're all talking about how you need immediate starters, that's going to be a massive factor in this. And that's what I literally hated about last year's draft, and I was so frustrated with the way that it played out. Not because I completely hated the players that were drafted. I hated where they were getting some of these players, because I knew some of them were developmental guys, and you're getting them in the second round, and your second rounder should be starting right away. Like, that should just be what it is. And
maybe he is this year. Maybe
but it wasn't last year, and you drafted him last year. And so that's why I hated. I was like, he'll be starting in a couple years. That's great. But you needed guys last year, and then look what the defensive line looked like, because you didn't have that right away.
So often GMs, and I don't think James Gladstone, at least at this juncture, will fall into this pile. They draft for 3 years down the line, as opposed to what we've seen Les Snead do, which is, hey, he's a great college player, and I can throw him on an NFL field right now. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't care that he's slow and that, well, he's got a lot of tread on the tires. Can he contribute for me right now?
Yeah.
And that's where, to your point, I'm fascinated to see if that actually does follow Gladstone and Cohen to the East Coast.
And that's what the word we keep seeing, which is a very basic word. But when people talk about this draft, they're like, there's a lot of football players in this draft.
Yep.
And that's what everybody keeps saying. You're maybe not talking about this high-end talent that you saw in the draft last year, but there's a lot of really good football players. And in the right place with the right development, you could be talking about them by the end of the season as being hits. But there's a lot of guys in this draft that, and people use this too, of this is a guy that will get your GM fired or your GM a raise. And that's kind of a lot of the situations that you're seeing, because you may have to reach in positions, but if you hit, it looks really good.
If you're drafting for 3 years down the line, doesn't edge rusher creep much higher up as far as a need? If again, not for just
I think edge's sweet spots at 70. I mean, that's consistently. If you go through my mock drafts, there's a couple deviations, but I've pretty much been, hey, because there's depth, you can get a solid edge 3, because that's what you need at this point.
Yeah.
You could get a solid edge 3 at 70 or 88.
That you could take time to develop.
But I'm
What's
saying
that?
if you're drafting
That you
3 years
could
down the
take
line.
time to develop, because you would have 3 years.
No, I think there's some plug-and-play guys that you could get at 70 or 88.
Well, I'm just saying being, let's say, because her point is, Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker in 3-4 years, if you're building for that, are you counting on them being like your 2 main guys still?
Yeah,
Where are they at in their
Trayvon's
contracts?
here, but yeah.
Yes.
Right.
The Josh Hines-Allen thing would be a conversation. And then if you do have somebody who right now, it could plug and play on situational, on certain downs, situational moments, and then in 3 years could be that next guy up. I feel like that's what Philly does. Philly, like as soon as someone is kind of getting towards, they'll be there 3-4 years, and then they have that next man standing, and that's kind of the way that successful organizations draft.
But I could also make the argument for lots of other positions too, as far as running backs sliding high up if you're drafting 3 years down the line. Wide receivers high for both 3 years down the line and probably this year as well. Corner, you could make that argument, maybe a little bit less. But at linebacker, Foye Luakin, our good friend, is certainly on the after his prime, I should say, not on the way out, but after his prime.
Or in his prime and just on the second half of it.
Yeah. Sure, but 3 years down the line, we don't know for sure if Foye is still anchoring this team as far as defense is concerned at linebacker.
Can I read some more Aaron Rodgers quotes to leave you all with just a little
trying to
crazy?
torture Taylor?
No, I'm trying to make Taylor laugh. There's a very serious situation going on in our world right now, especially here in Florida, as many of you, and if you're just getting into your car, there was earlier today an active shooter situation at Florida State, and I said to both Lauren and Taylor, our world is messed up that's going on 2.5 hours to our west, and everyone on my Twitter timeline is locked in on Aaron Rodgers. And look, I understand that's the entire world, not just here immediately. And obviously our prayers are with Florida State. But I hope I can provide a little levity by relaying that Aaron Rodgers was bashing Malibu rental car companies as part of his hit on the Pat McAfee show earlier. He also called Brian Daboll a beautiful mind. And as far as the Minnesota Vikings and those potential rumblings go, he was very emphatic about it. He never wanted 30 to 40 million. He told teams he would play for 10 million. He is, quote, not waiting for the Vikings to change their minds. On the Steelers front, quote, this entire time I haven't felt like I owed anybody a decision at any point. I've said, listen, if you need to move on and do something, love and respect. But there's no deadline. I've talked to Mike T, as in Mike Tomlin, many times.
Circling back to Florida State, FSU baseball tweeted out about 20 minutes ago, tonight's game has been postponed. Additional updates on the schedule will be communicated as they become available. FSU was supposed to begin a 3-game series against Virginia Tech tonight, but again, that will shift. FSU, of course, is ranked 10th in the country. I would imagine that is not weather related. I would imagine that's having to do with the active shooter.
Correct.
So again, pay attention to FSU baseball on social to find out. Speaking of baseball, UNF travels to West Georgia. The first pitch is tonight at 6 p.m. And then JU plays host to Florida Gulf Coast tonight at 7 o'clock. Florida has always, when at home for the Easter weekend series, has always done Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I guess when you play at Mississippi State, you don't get to control the schedule. Of course they do. So Florida does not get things started until tomorrow night. And so they'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, every other team that I pay attention to plays Thursday, Friday, Saturday of Easter weekend to ensure there's no Sunday game. Again, this situation with FSU baseball may shift some things, but they also may play a doubleheader on Saturday as to avoid playing on Easter Sunday. I'm not calling Mississippi heathens by any means. I'm just saying.
Yes, you
are.
No,
I'm just saying that it's interesting that the 3-game series will begin tomorrow night. And
we
like
do not
I said,
need to make the Mississippi people mad again.
No, we have already made the Mississippi people mad. We will not do that again. Just a reminder, gymnastics today, 4:30 on ESPN2. Let's turn things over to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJax.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Joe Cowart walks into the studio and he points up at Aaron Rodgers and goes, did he say anything? And Taylor...
He said a lot of nothing, but...
Did you not hear my dramatic reading of the quotes about peace and love towards the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I missed that, but I just like that
He's
Taylor
attached
said,
to nothing.
Taylor just said he's crazy. And that's all I needed to hear.
He was crazy before the ayahuasca inducements.
He added shrooms to the puzzle that is Aaron Rodgers. He is the classic cake and eat it too guy. He really is. And you can't just keep laying out demands and come back in late and create the best situation for yourself and expect it to work.
I know. And one of my friends just tweeted and he said, Aaron Rodgers might still play. He might not. He hasn't decided yet and will drag his decision out as long as he can to get more media attention.
It's the truth. And look, I have loved watching Aaron Rodgers play the game. Honestly.
I have not.
I know you have not. But he is one bad son of a gun with the football in his hands. Even towards the end of last year, coming back from the Achilles, he really started showcasing again. But, yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, you know when the Jaguars lost to the Jets in December, do you know who the Jets' leading rusher was?
Probably, yeah.
It was Aaron Rodgers.
He's sneaky with that sometimes, and that's what would be annoying because you don't want him to throw it downfield, so it ended up opening so much room for him to take off sometimes. I'm like, he's running in slow motion, and he just got 15 yards.
And he just abuses secondaries with the pump fake and just keeps...
And getting people to jump off sides was like, ugh.
By the way, any highlight you see of Aaron Rodgers during this offseason is against Jacksonville. Just the way it is.
Speaking of his time with the Jets, we missed this quote. Aaron Rodgers said when he went to meet with new head coach Aaron Glenn almost immediately left the room to go get the GM. Rodgers expected a long conversation after flying cross country, but Glenn simply said, "You sure you want to play football?" And Rodgers said, "Well, I'm interested." And Glenn goes, "We're going in a different direction."
I love Aaron
That
Glenn.
could have been done via Zoom.
Yeah.
Could have been done via Zoom. Like, hey, bro, don't come back.
It doesn't even take stones. I just like the fact that Aaron Glenn said, "This is my house."
Yeah.
Basically is what it is, and that we're operating under my rule and reign, and yours is over.
Yeah, just like Josh Heupel did.
Yeah.
Just like Josh Heupel did. All right.
By the way, we'll get into Nico.
Yeah.
But apparently going to the Bruins and a major pay cut. So we'll do that. Lee Corso memories, which is kind of a little sad to see
What do you
that.
think he's getting there?
Say that again?
What do you think he's getting, Nico, at UCLA?
We were in there talking a 1.75, something in that neighborhood, which would be a massive pay cut. If he wanted 4 and he's now less than 2, that's embarrassing. That's a hit.
Yeah. And he was making 2.5 almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And he already got paid. He got paid for 1 season and 1 game. When he had that original offer that was guaranteed to him. It's ridiculous what he did, how he played. He played it poorly.
That he did. What Lee Corso's getting is retirement. Well deserved at the age of 90. We'll have to do a highlight package for Lee tomorrow. All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll be listening.
All right.
Yeah, announced today, Lee Corso's last game will be the first game of the 2025 season. Not so fast, my friend. I would say probably one of the most well-quoted things you'll ever hear a college football analyst say. All right, that'll do it for us today. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday.
You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saying when you ought to be a-changing. Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you.
After work, crack open a cold one with Rick Ballou.
How's that beer tasting?
Like the first of many. Into the night.
Make yourselves at home, sweet home, boys.
Evenings on 1010XL.
I hear we're getting a new cappuccino machine.
Mia here. You know, people typically start and end their day by visiting their closet. So shouldn't that space feel calm, organized, like a little moment of luxury? That's why I chose Closets by Design. They specialize in custom solutions for every lifestyle and budget. Call them this week to schedule your free in-home consultation and get 40% off plus an additional 15% off and free installation. Don't wait for your mom to do it. Call now at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Best Bet is number 1. That's right, Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine have one-card poker, the fastest and easiest card game to learn and play. Play one card at a time, and the highest card wins even money. If the card values are the same, it's time for war, just like the game you remember. You must be 18 years or older to play. Learn all the games at bestbetjax.com. That's bestbetjax.com.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web. Precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200. ChadAndSandy.com.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to